Welcome back to the channel. Today is May, or actually it's June 1st, 2026. Uh, Time flies by when you're having fun, right? Today I want to talk about Avalanche, ticker symbol AVX, or actually I guess it's just called AVAX, AVAX. The This is a cryptocurrency, and it's been out for quite a while. It's one of the longer cryptocurrencies. And today I just want to kind of go over where I think it's at. So I am a amateur investor. I am not professional. I have a day job. So please keep that in mind. I am invested in AVAX, and I'm just going to go over what I'm kind of seeing in the charts and what are the possibilities. And maybe this helps you make a decision. Maybe it doesn't. But here's kind of what I'm seeing. So I'm starting to keep in mind I am a long-term positional investor. So I'm going to start off on the monthly chart. So AVAX entered coin. This is the Coinbase chart. Entered the Coinbase chart in September of 21, and it made a high of $148 in 2021. And this looks like around November. And then it started its bear market, and it came all the way down to $8.72. Welcome to crypto. Okay, then it had another bull run in October of 2023, and it was about 5 month bull run, and it went to $66. Now, since that bull run end in March of 2024, as you can tell from the chart, it's made it's made lower lows and lower highs. So it's just been going lower highs, and it's retraced to its all-time low at around $8.54. Now, as you can tell, I drew this trend line here. It is wick below this trend line. However, it's just a wick. Wicks, when they go below a trend line, yes, it's significant, but it's not as bad as the body of the candle closing below the trend line. So where we are with Avalanche at this point in time, since about let's just say March of 2026, it's been ranging, and it's had some little bit of spikes. It's gotten as high as $10, but it's essentially bouncing off this trend line. It hasn't really moved or done anything. It's just ranging. So if we take a look at the daily chart, you can kind of tell from the moving averages that the 20 and the 50 are crossing above and below each other, which means that price is not respecting the moving averages. So when the moving averages are flat, the short-term moving averages are flat, that is when their support and resistance properties are least respected. And that's why you're seeing this sideways action. One of the things that I find is kind of interesting is the 200 day moving average is starting to flatten. Notice it had a clear downward trend, but it's starting to kind of curve a little bit, and it may flatten about right here. The reason why this is important is the 200-day moving average has its best support and resistance qualities when it's flat. It's a longer term moving average. It's more powerful as support and resistance when it's flat. If these moving averages cross that 200, that is very significant. That is very bullish because it means it has pierced the 200-day moving average, the flatness of it, and that 200-day moving average will then become support. So right now that's not close to happening. AVAX has shown no price action or no movement saying that it's going to cross the 200. So where we are right now, what can we expect from AVAX based on what I'm seeing? So I'm going to go to this other chart, same Coinbase chart, just a slightly different view. And we've got the parabolic RSI, we've got the stochastic RSI, we got the money flow index, and we have the MACD. And as you can tell on the monthly chart, when you look at the RSI, relative strength index, this measures overbought, oversold. you'll notice that its low over most oversold point is touching this line here, and Avax hasn't touched it. It's kind of trailing slightly above it. The stochastic RSI measures momentum. There's no momentum. It's dead. Okay, on the monthly chart. And we've got the money flow index, which is volume compared to price. It's at the mid-range point. So it doesn't think that it's oversold. And then you have the MACD. It's not doing anything. It's pretty much flat when you look at it. Now, if we drop down to the 2-week chart, you can see for its oversold and overbought, it says that Avax is pretty much in its last area of where it was most oversold, and that it's a little bit lower. It's interesting that the 2-week is slightly different than the monthly as far as its envisioning of overbought, oversold. One interesting thing is that the 2-week stochastic RSI cross happened. And the reason why it's significant is this may not look much, but the last time the stochastic RSI crossed was in July 2025. So this is something that typically only happens about once a year. And it looks like it's maybe curving, maybe going down. So that's not a great sign. Now, what we can also do is we can take a look at the Bollinger Bands. It, as you can tell with this is the 20 moving average. It think it's the bottom band is here on the 2-week, but I'm going to switch this to the daily here. And as you can tell, if you look at it from a daily perspective, it's compressed. Now, why that's important is Bollinger Bands measure volatility. And when it's compressed like this means that there is no volatility. But as it starts to expand, that means the volatility is increasing. But right now it's compressed. So what can we expect? And I want to look. I haven't looked at this before the video. Uh, the Gaussian channel is green, which I find is interesting. It's thinking that it's going to start becoming bullish because the Gaussian turns green. Notice that it was red down here. I'm going to take a look at yeah, it's still pretty much red on later time frames. Uh, but notice that, let's go back to here for this, for example, on the 2-day chart. When you see that the price is moving up above the Gaussian channel, you'll notice it turns green here, and you see this is where you have this slight kind of bull run. But as it starts to sink into the Gaussian channel is a little bit, it can be kind of like quicksand, but it didn't actually turn red until here. And it stayed red this whole time, and it's starting to flatten out, and you're starting to see the price with this first jump of AVAX hit the middle line of the Gaussian channel. And one thing that can be very bullish for AVAX is if it is able to get itself above that middle line. That's usually when investors say that is a good time to start investing. And you usually see after it gets above the middle line that it will have the possibility of starting to turn green. Notice it didn't immediately happen here. It came up about and peaked down, but once it came above the string on this particular chart, it went green. But on other charts, I've seen it where as soon as it gets above the middle line, it it starts to reverse to be more green, and you have to see it multiple bars above the middle line. So bottom. So now that we've kind of seen all these things, where are we at with AVAX? Uh, AVAX is ranging, and it's near its last oversold mark. There is a possibility that AVAX could go down further. However, I'm a long-term investor, and I think because it's close to the last time it was so oversold, I am personally starting to buy into Avax. I'm not going all in all at once, but as each month goes by, I put a little bit more into it. And this is so if you are thinking about long-term investing, this is the period where you may want to consider getting in. However, be aware that typically oversold is below 30. However, on monthly and 2-week charts, it for most healthy assets, it usually doesn't get to below 30 because it just doesn't. I don't know the mathematical reason why, but that's just what I've seen. Like you go look at a stock market chart, it it doesn't go below 30 a lot. It could definitely can, and that usually means it's a lot less healthy. However, AVAX has reached its last lower point on oversold. It is staying consistently above the current trend line of its last low point. So there's more chance of it going up than there is of it going down. However, more downside is possible. So if you are worried about big losses with AVAX and you're not really convinced that this particular trend line can hold, that's this trend line right here. Let me go back to the monthly chart. Then I would recommend you can put a stop loss and you can make a decision on where you want to put the stop loss. Uh, you could say if you think you can go farther, if you can go below $7, I might put the stop loss around here. And if it goes much farther down, then you've only lost that much money. But you have the potential to go up to close to where this 20 moving average is. So what I haven't talked about yet is the reason why I think there's more upside is because of how far the price is below the 20. I sometimes talk about how when price gets above the 20 so far, that it's normal for it to want to retrace and come back to the 20. Notice that the same thing occurs on the downside of it. When you're in a bear market, the price can get far away from the 20 and it wants to come up and touch it. So even if AVAX is not going to make an all-time high, it's going to want to come close to the 20 moving average. It may not touch it. It may even go high above it. I don't know. But let's just say it comes up to here. That's over double your money. You're at $8 right now. That'd be about $16 if it doesn't even touch the 20. So you have a potential for more upside than you do long side, and it looks like on a normal bull run you're talking this is one, two, three candles. It's really inconsistent because the longest bull run it had, based on this chart that I'm seeing, was 5 months. So just watch it, and once I say it breaks this level of $10, just watch it very carefully. You want to look at what the moving averages are doing and see if it's able to get above the 20. You want to see if the 20 can get above the 50. That becomes even more of a bullish situation. And you can even throw on your 8 moving average and you can see if the 8 can cross both the 20 and the 50. Because really what you want to see is you want to see the 8 on top, the 20 in the middle, and the 50 below it. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a great morning, and may God bless your day.